Now at 6, growing support 1 day after President Joe Biden's historic announcement.
I've announced my support for the nomination of Vice President Kamala Harris.
Oregon Governor Tina Kotek's push to elevate the vice president to the top of the ticket. And gunshots erupt in broad daylight in a North Portland park.
It happens everywhere. Gun violence happens everywhere. I'm not surprised anymore.
What police are doing to reassure neighbors who are fed up and weary. Plus,
and as we got closer, we realized there were 2 men holding on to a capsized boat.
How a Good Samaritan helped save lives on the Oregon coast. Tonight at 6, we begin with breaking news of a new wildfire in northern Wasco County. There are already some level 3 go now evacuations in the area just south of Mosier. The Wasco County Sheriff's Office says everyone from Highway 30 south to Proctor Road, east to Husky Road, and west to the Hood River County line should leave their homes right now. Everyone in the city of Mosier is under a level 2 evacuation order, which means get set to leave at a moment's notice. And take a look at this new video that we just got into the KGW newsroom. It was taken from across the Columbia River in Underwood, Washington. You can see that fire putting up a whole lot of smoke from atop the ridge just west of Mosier. This is, of course, a developing, dangerous situation that we are tracking. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino. Matt, what are conditions looking like right now in the gorge?
It's super windy out there right now, Christine. Look at our camera in the Dalles. Now, Mosier, we'd be able to see it out there basically, but look at all this smoke. That is from that new fire, and the winds in the Dalles are really quite ferocious. Look, they're gusting to nearly 50 miles an hour right now in that part of the gorge. Now, they're not quite as strong in Mosier, but they're strong. They're probably gusting over 30 miles an hour there as they continue to just rip on through the gorge. So let's check out some of the winds that we have in the region. There's the sustained wind in the Dalles at 24 miles an hour, but we're seeing gusts of about 30 miles an hour in Rowena at the moment too. So it's really blowing out there. Wind advisory for the Mosier area through the Dalles, through the gorge until midnight tonight. The winds will begin to settle down a little bit before that, but it's going to be really problematic over the next several hours. Look at the hour-by-hour wind forecast for the Dalles, which is very close to Mosier. 38 mile an hour gusts, 37 mile an hour gusts, finally down below 30 miles an hour at 9 o'clock. And then after sunset, they drop down to the teens, and eventually after midnight, below 10 miles an hour. So that's the good news. The winds will settle down overnight tonight, but the next few hours, it's only 6 o'clock now, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, the winds are going to continue to howl for those few hours. The winds will weaken after sunset, as I mentioned, and then tomorrow, not nearly as windy, warm and dry, so they should be able to make some progress for this after sunset tonight and especially after midnight. Christine?
Yeah, I hope everyone stays safe. Of course, we'll give you more information as soon as we know it. Thank you, Matt.
And it is my intention to go out and earn this nomination and to win.
That is Vice President Kamala Harris making the pitch to the Democratic Party to put her at the top of the ticket. Today, more Democratic leaders threw their support behind the vice president as she tries to round up support just 4 weeks out from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. Earlier today, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi gave Vice President Harris her endorsement, saying she has full confidence Harris will defeat Donald Trump in November. There's been grassroots support, too. Her campaign raised a record $81 million in the first 24 hours after Biden announced he was dropping out of the race. This afternoon, she rallied staffers at President Biden's campaign headquarters in Delaware.
In the next 106 days, we have work to do. We have doors to knock on, we have people to talk to, we have phone calls to make, and we have an election to win.
Harris also announced President Biden's campaign manager will stay on to run her campaign. Also today, independent West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin, who yesterday said he was considering rejoining the party to go for that nomination, today said he will not do it. But he also did not endorse Harris. Meantime, Oregon's full Democratic congressional delegation has now thrown their support behind Harris. And today, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek announced her endorsement of the vice president and also shared her thoughts about President Joe Biden. Our Tim Gordon is live now in studio. And Tim, you spoke with the governor late this morning.
Christine, we did, and it was within an hour of her endorsement of Vice President Harris. So you're going to hear her first public thoughts on this. Kotek was in Portland to celebrate a nearly $200 million federal grant award to reduce climate pollution. But she knew we'd ask about the Biden decision and the future of the Democratic side of the presidential race. First, here's what she had to say about President Biden.
He has been a tremendous leader for our country and will be through the rest of his administration. Oregon has benefited by what he has done.
Then we heard why Kotek is endorsing the Vice President, Kamala Harris, to be the Democrats' nominee.
She is smart, she is strong, she is the right person to lead our country here in the next 4 years. She needs to be our next president. That is good for Oregon. The Republican nominee, Donald Trump, I believe is dangerous not only for our country, but for our world. And I'm going to do everything I can to support Vice President Harris for her nomination and winning in November.
Now, Governor Kotek called Joe Biden's decision a wise and selfless one and said it's already paying off with enthusiasm and all those campaign dollars you mentioned, Christine, flowing in. Back to you.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there. Tim, thank you for that report. Let's talk next steps in picking a new Democratic nominee. Party leaders have planned a virtual vote to officially nominate Kamala Harris before the Democratic National Convention next month in Chicago, but that could be delayed or canceled. The decision will be made at the DNC if there is no vote or there's a vote with no majority. A candidate would be nominated if there's a majority vote. Right now, the Washington Post is reporting that Harris has secured the support of more than 1,600 delegates, fewer than 300 away from the number needed to lock up the nomination. If she comes up short, Democrats would have their first open and contested convention since 1968. We'll, of course, continue to follow these developments through the Democratic National Convention. To get the latest updates, be sure to visit KGW.com or download our KGW app. To some other headlines that we're following for you, it was a deadly weekend on roads and highways in our area. Crashes killed at least 6 people. A California man died after an SUV rear-ended the car that he was riding in Sunday morning on I-5 in Lynn County. The car's driver was also seriously hurt, and the SUV's driver, a Woodburn man, was arrested for DUI. Then early Sunday afternoon, a man and woman in their early 30s from the Seattle area were killed on Highway 26, a few miles east of Sandy. Investigators say a teen driver veered into their lane and hit their car head-on. 3 motorcycle riders in Gresham, McMinnville, and Clark County also died in weekend crashes. Well, Portland police say they arrested several people and seized a gun in a prostitution bust late last week. The operation focused on a stretch of Northeast 82nd Avenue. 6 men from the Portland metro area and McMinnville were arrested and cited for their alleged solicitation. A Sacramento man with several warrants was also arrested, and a Seattle man was arrested for disorderly conduct and reckless driving. Police say they came across 10 sex providers and offered them help. Also, Portland police hoping you know something about a 10-year-old cold case involving 19-year-old Paul W. Kreckler. He was killed in southeast Portland's Woodstock neighborhood. Officers showed up at Southeast 57th Avenue and Harold Streets after reports of a shooting just before 11 p.m. on July 22nd of 2014. They say Kreckler was shot to death. Call Portland police if you know anything about what happened. And Portland police will be making some changes after the latest shooting at a North Portland park. More than 80 gunshots were fired at Dawson Park in the middle of the afternoon last Friday. It sent 2 people to the hospital. Our Blair Best is live at the Portland Police Bureau downtown this evening. And Blair, you spoke with community members and city leaders about what happened.
Christine, this shooting caught the attention of the mayor and the police chief. It is the 4th shooting at North Portland's Dawson Park so far this year, an area that has been plagued by gun violence for decades.
It's a sound Jake Wicks knows too well.
I heard these loud bangs, really rapid succession for a while. I knew afterwards, like immediately afterwards, that it was gunfire.
He works at a North Portland behavioral health clinic across from Dawson Park, surrounded by a hospital, a school, and where gun violence is common.
I went into the hallway and I saw the look on people's faces, and I knew it was a lot bigger than previous incidents.
He's talking about what happened just after 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. Portland police say a vehicle pulled up to the park. At least one person inside fired a gun. Officers estimate more than 80 shots were fired.
We are concerned for our entire community, for the entire city. And it's certainly not lost on myself or any of us in the police bureau or in the mayor's office leadership that we definitely have our challenges.
Police say 2 people went to the hospital. Both are expected to survive. This shooting caught the attention of Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler. He called it senseless Monday afternoon.
It goes without saying that it's never acceptable for these violent incidents to occur anywhere in our city. And I understand how dangerous and how frightening these circumstances must have been, particularly for the many people who were present.
While a shooting like this affects those who work nearby, it also impacts another community, one that's been around for years.
I grew up here. I've been here all my life.
Charles Hudson watched his North Portland neighborhood change over the years.
It used to be predominantly black, in this community. It's not no more.
One thing that stayed, he says, was gun violence.
We've been having gun activity in this community for quite a while.
I'm not surprised anymore. We got brothers shooting brothers. We got mothers shooting kids. It's just gun violence is everywhere.
The victims in Friday's shooting known by many, despite police not yet releasing their names.
And we're just praying and hoping that, they'll recover.
And that park does have a lot of significance to the African American community. We're aware of that and we're sensitive to that.
Portland police are increasing their patrols in and around the park. They're launching a bike squad there in the coming weeks. And while they're still searching for the suspects involved in Friday's shooting, they believe they've recovered the guns used in that shooting. Anyone with information is asked to contact Portland police. Christine.
Hope those increased patrols make a difference. Thank you, Blair.